Tractate Shevuot, page 6. We are 6 lines from the top of the page. I'd like to share with you a story this morning. It's a well-known story. The Rebbetzin Kanievsky, the Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky of Bnei Brak's wife, well-known, respected Rebbetzin. She had a tremendous amount of influence upon many people. And the story goes that a woman came to her. She said that she have a large family and somehow she cannot set up any one of her children to get married. And she asked the Rebbetzin if there's any way she can advise her, bless her, do something for her at a time of kind of feeling of stress. The Rebbetzin pulled out a letter from the late Rav Segal, and she showed her something that, again, it's a well-known. I have the privilege to hear it from many sources. There is a book written by the Chafetz Chaim, which I believe, at least for this audience, they're familiar. The Chafetz Chaim, the Rabbi of Radin, wrote a book how a person should watch his or her tongue. And it's a well-known sgula, it's a well-known teaching that each person should study 2 halachot, 2 important rules daily, how not to speak gossip or talebearer or bad mouth or to say things or to hear things about other people. And that's the way she advised her and blessed her. And the story goes that really when she committed herself, after a short period of time, things are reconciled. So with that in mind, we're jumping into our sugya. Imagine a situation, a fellow that he's a live performance, and he wake up in the morning and he have a sign on his face, and he goes to the urgent appointment with his dermatologist, and he said that sorry, it's not something that I can help, and obviously I cannot do something for tonight's show or something like that. And by force of circumstance, he needs to go a different direction. In the biblical time, it was the Kohanim, the priests, that learned this subject, and they are able to designate certain things in connection to something. So, hypothetically speaking, in that case, the fellow can come before the Kohen, the priest, and he said, oh, listen, God love you. God noticed that you committed sin, and this is basically a gift. This sign, this ketem, the Kohen basically said to him, God is woke you up and ask you to be isolated for a certain time. You do meditation and reflection, how to guard your tongue, how to watch your mouth, and then you should be isolated outside of the camp. The Torah describes a story like that happened for a week with the prophetess Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron. So basically, you will be out of the camp. You will do teshuvah. You regret. You ask forgiveness. And while you are outside of the camp, if there's anyone come and approach you, you have to declare, I'm impure. Stay away from me. And people should listen and should respect this idea of not hearing or speaking Lashon Hara. So today we have in a way short session of the law of negaim. What exactly we almost like study coloring, at least the first phase of our class. We need to know when it's come to those definition of negaim, definition of this dermatological sign over a person's body, what exactly it represents. As we learned in the previous daf, there are 2 types of whiting. There is one that is called in the Torah se'et, and which is one level, and then we have the other one, it's called baheret. Now, the most whitest one, as we explained yesterday, it's the snow. It reminds me, Jared, when he built his home. I remember the painter came in with a variety of colors, and he said to him and his wife, and they spent a long time, which color is fair and best. And you see on those companies, even in Home Depot you can see it, that even in the white section there are many different white color. So here we have this color. One is level of snow, and then we have which call a tzemer. So you have like keves ben yomo, you have a baby lamb, or a very young, very young goat, lamb. You see at the first day the way that the mother will prepare and lick the body of the child. That's very white. In Hebrew it's called tzemer lavan. It's very white. That's se'et. And the Torah used the term la se'et vela sapachat vela beharet. So se'et is one thing, is av. And then sapachat is like from the word nispach, which means incorporated, is another additional color that later incorporated. As you know, in color, you have an original color that takes the main, and then you combine sometime with other color, which a little bit, tiny bit, change the color. And then the last word of the pasuk is la baharet. So the baharet, it's again, it's level of whitening, and we have avot and we have toladot. We have baheret, the tolada, the secondary. It's called sid ha'hechal. We explained before that it's the sanctuary, the mayor of the sanctuary. That's the way before Pesach they used to paint the sanctuary in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Holy Temple. So that's basically this toladot, the secondary to avot, which is the se'et. And then we have the other one, which is called the baheret is the avot, and the toladot is the seed. And then you have the avot, which is the se'et, and the toladot is the krum beitza. We explained yesterday that you have an egg. An egg carries three components. We have the yellow, the inner part. We have the white, and we have the shell. So we are not talking about the yellow, neither the shell, but we talk the white that cover the yellow. So that's basically the tolada. It's called krum beitza, the tolada of se'er. So what we learn, it's basically different dargot. We have baheret. Baheret is like sheleg, like snow. It's hachilavan, the most white. Then we have the other one, which is the se'et. The se'et is also av. It's tzemer lavan naki. It's yomi valdo milat. It's like the first day the baby goat, the baby lamb born. So that's the first day. And then we have all the other, which is the other two, the toladot. We have a seed, which and we have the krum beitza. That's the tolada of se'et. So as you see here, according to the Rabbanan, the sages, we have the two avot, that it's actually four. Avot, biblical, toladot is the rabbinic. The avot is the baheret and the se'et, and toladot, the tolada of baheret, is what? Is the seed that used in Beit HaMikdash, and for the se'et is the krum beitza, the whitened part that covered the yellow part of the egg. So now we are page 6, 6 lines from the top of the page. והיכה שמעינה לרבי עקיבא זו למעלה מזו. So in the previous shiur we learned in Daf Hey Amud Bet, page 5b, the Gemara said that Rabbi Akiva have just 4 type of shades of tzarat, different color of the leprosy, that all depend upon the level of intensity that you combine, and as we said, it's a 4 level gradations. So now the source for that. So how the Rabbi Akiva that hold that all these four mar'ot, the four color of the tzara'at, combine the same order. Because Rabbi Akiva said, Zu lemal mizot, this one above this one above the other one. Ileima, mehadetanya, if you tell me that we derive this from the Braita, Amar Rabbi Yossi, Sha'al Yehoshua bno shel Rabbi Akiva. So the Mefarshim say that that's apply Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, as we have in the Mishnah in Brachot. But anyway, Yoshua, son of Rabbi Akiva, me Rabbi Akiva, מפני מה אמרו מראות נגעים שניים שהם ארבעה. Why? Tosfot said, why they mention the names? The Gemara soon give another option. What does that mean? So why, when it's come to this marot negaim, appearance of tzara'at, are two that are four, and then enumerated the names of the four. Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva respond to Rabbi Yoshua, ve'im lav, if you go by the way that the sages explain in the Mishnah, ma yomru. So Rabbi Akiva wants that Rabbi Yeshua explain clearly what exactly he bothers here. So he said, Yumru mikrum beitza ulema'ala tameh. Since we talk about tolada, that is a krum beitza, remember that that's the white part that covered the yellow part of the egg. So Rabbi Yoshua replied, let them say simply, any shade of white from egg membranes and up have the tzara'at spectrum and is ritually impure. Since the sages know other appearance of tzara'at in addition to these four, Rashi said, what's the purpose of them to mention these specific names? Because you can incorporate all of them in one shot without go to specification. And we have a principle in Tractate Psachim, page 3, we learn that le'olam yishne adam letalmido derech ktsara, a person should always teach his disciples, his students, in the short, easy way. So why you do it in this way? Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva said, the reason that they enumerated those mar'ot, appearance of tzara'at, in a certain order, lomar shemitztarfim ze im ze, which means in this particular order, they can combine with one another. And that's the purpose of them mention that. So the mar'et tzara'at, if you see the appearance of tzara'at, that's not making someone ritually impure. Even the person know that it's impure, only if you go by the dual process, which is you have to have mar'ot, the kohen need to see it and examine it, and then he declared and he said tameh tameh, he cried and he called it ritually impure. So Rabbi Akiva explained the reason that we go to the specific of all the names of those appearance of tzara'at. It means any kohen that is not familiar of the appearance of tzara'at or the specific name of tzara'at, he is prohibited to examine those appearances. Ve'ilu misidechal ulemala lo ke'amar. So what we said earlier, so from krum beitza, from the membranes of egg, which is the yellow part of the egg, and upward, that basically impure and combine with each other. So if you tell me that it's also from the line of the sanctuary and up, is necessary to state. Lo ka'amar, midelo amar le, since Rabbi Yoshua did not say to Rabbi Akiva that the Tana should teach us from sid ha'echal, from the lime of the sanctuary and up, kulhu levahadei se'et mitztarafim, which is you can combine all of the se'et, all the 3 shades of tzarat, combined together, that it's se'et. So if Rabbi Akiva hold in Mishnah in Tractate Negaim that the order of the secondary of Baheret and the lime of egg, it's the secondary of Se'et, Rabbi Yeshua needs to say as follow: Mikrum beitza ulemala tameh, umisida echal ulemala tameh. From these 2, secondary and upward, will be ritually impure. So it means that both of them, krum, beitza, and sid hechal, both of them, the white part of egg and the lime of the sanctuary, they each of them have his father, his av, his primary sort of appearance of tzarat, and it combined only with its father, the secondary only with his father, which means the way that it is that sida echal is secondary of baheret, and krum beitza is secondary of primary se'et. Why? Because we hold only for appearance only, and se'et, baheret ve'se'et, it said clearly in the Torah is primary. Baheret, as we said earlier, it's the one who is the most lucid, is the most clear, it's like snow. And se'et is like tzemer lavan, is the next one. It's like the, as we said, the baby lamb the first day. So that's the way we derive from their name. Later the Gemara on next part of page 6b elaborates on that. So we always say that the secondary connected to the primary part, and therefore each of them match. That's the way Rashi tells us. So anyway, Vedilma. So the Gemara rejected that. The Gemara said, perhaps Rabbi Yeshua knew that Rabbi Akiva viewed to be that the 4 shades combine in order to se'et, Vedilma, se'et vetoladeta, baheret vetoladeta. Se'et, which is the primary, and its secondary, which is egg membranes, and then the baheret and is a subsidiary. Subsidiary is what? The lime that he used in the sanctuary. So that's basically the point of view of the first Mishnah in Negaim. And Rabbi Yeshua did in fact suggest that a double formulation be used, which means that you cannot prove from this Braita that Rabbi Akiva hold that these 4 shades combine in order of intensity. Ela mid Rabbi Chanina. So we derive that, the view of Rabbi Akiva, from the listed shade of tzarat in order of intensity from the following statement of Rabbi Chanina. The Amar Rabbi Chanina, Mashal the Rabbi Akiva lema davar domeh. The analogy, the way that Rabbi Akiva brought, it's what is like the 4 marot. So he said, le'arba'a kosot shel chalav. Like you talk about 4 different type of milk. So each of them have a little drop of blood that come inside the cup. אחד נפלו לתוכו 2 טיפים של דם. One of them fell 2 drops of blood. So it's getting close to the red color. ואחד נפלו לתוכו 4 טיפים של דם. So the larger the cup, the appearance going to be redder and redder. ואחד נפלו לתוכו 8 ואחד נפלו לתוכו 12 טיפין. So you go here by level of gradation, you start from 2 to 4 to 8 to 12. ואמרי לה, and there are those who say that it's 16 טיפים, 16 drop of blood fell into it. שכולן מראות לובן הן, that all of them, the content of all of these cups are shades of white. Ela sheze, the one that have this little blood, למעלה מזה, וזה למעלה מזה. So it means the one is more intense, one whiter, and one is more intense than the other one. So it's basically the level of intensity. So he holds, based on this Rabbi Akiva, that you have the four appearance in a level of gradation. And this allegory of the blood and the milk is just expresses that you go by gradations. So the Gemara rejected that proof of Rabbi Hanina, and they said, Eimur de shamat alel Rabbi Akiva befatuch. What you derive, you learn from the view of Rabbi Akiva, it's regarding to a mixed spot, which means that you have a combination of white with red. Because why? Rabbi Hanina in his allegory use milk that have a drop of blood come in. Okay, in the Torah, in the book of Vayikra, chapter 13, verse 19, the Torah said, Baheret levana adam damet. Lavan is white, adom, it's red, right? So the Rashi explained, the nega lavan halak, the whitening of this appearance of the nega, it's patoch, and it's combined with two, with white and the red one. Anyway, so they said, Bechaluk mishamatle, but have you learned with regarding to combination of various shades of pure white? The whole rule of Ze lemala mizeh. So the Chazon Ish in the second chapter of Negaim, Mishnah Vav, explained without this principle in the regards to tzarat, to appearance that is total white, it's very different than the patuch. So Rabbi Akiva holds in this type of appearance that the combination of the order of primary avot, secondary toladot, that's the Mishnah in Tractate Negiim. Rabbi Akiva holds that that's really the way it should be interpreted and combined. So they said, V'chi teima, if you tell me ki heicha de shamatlei befatuch, that concern a mixed part, that they are combined in order of intensity, hachei shaminan lei bechaluk. So too have you in effect learned concerning the view of regarding pure white spot, without any combination of reddish. Mishamatle, you hold that Rabbi Akiva have this important principle that ze lemala mizeh, that one above the others. So he said, וכי מה אחד שמע לה בפחתוך, אחד שמע לה בחלוק. ובפתוך גופי מי שמעת לי. We have the mixed part itself. Have you learned concerning Rabbi Akiva that combine in order to have the level of intensity? V'hatanya, or the Bach said v'hatnan, because the Mishnah, and that's a well-known Mishnah in Tractate Negaim, the first chapter, the second Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Adam dam shebazeh v'shebazeh. He said, Rabbi Akiva hold that the variety of radish, that in this one and the other one. So that because the Rashi explained that the first two appearance of nega, they are total white. So by the continuation of the view of Rabbi Akiva, you know who are the first two appearance, Shnei Marot HaRishonim, in Rabbi Akiva's view. So he said, Keyain hamazug b'mayim, you have a wine that it's diluted with water. In those days they have to dilute it because the way that the Talmud described, it was most of the wine was such a heavy wine that people cannot survive, so they have to do the combination of water. So Rabbi Ishmael hold that baheret, that's less than the sheleg, is compared to wine that combined with snow, and patuch, the mixed part, he compared to dam, blood that combined with milk. So that two combination, you have white, but they have some reddish inside. So the poskim have different views. You see Shulchan Aruch Ha'atid, and you see in the Chazon Ish and others, the halachic interpretation of this. But anyway, they said, כי יין המזוג במים אלא של בהרת עזה כשלג ושל סיד דהה הימנה. And also the whiteness of the limb, it's the dimmer. Page 6b, ve'im ita. And if you go by this order that Rabbi Akiva in the Mishnah, that Rabbi Akiva followed this Mishnah, that he have a level of gradation when it's come to mar'ot, the level of appearance. Now you go by the word that the Torah explained. The Torah said, Vela se'et, Vela sapachat, Vela beharet. So we have se'et, sapachat we said it's a combination of color, and then we have baheret. Se'et is the highest level, as we explained earlier. That's basically snow color. Now if you tell me that the se'et is coming after baheret, meaning as far as the behirut, as far as the clarity, so you have the level of intensity. You go first is a wool, follows the snow white, that it's baheret, and then you see the other. Now the order of the Mishnah in the Gaim, if you examine the Mishnah, they said baheret. Baheret is white like snow. Secondary to it is the lime of the sanctuary, Sida Echal, which means that they combine in that order, Rashi said. Which is, in a way, when it's come to patuch, right? Rabbi Akiva followed the Tana in Mishnah in Negaim. Baheret is like snow, and his second one to the lime of the sanctuary, and lo zo lemala mizo, this, not the others. So you cannot say that in this chiluk, Rabbi Akiva hold this same. We don't have any source for that. So the Gemara in a way accept that question, and now bringing a different view of Rabbi Akiva. Amrei, the students in the Beit HaMidrash go and explain, Ein hachei nami. This is a correct question. Vehatanya, we learn a different braita in Rabbi Akiva that apply to a mixed spot, patuch. רבי נתן אומר, לא שאמר רבי עקיבא של סיד דהה הימנה. Rabbi Natan said, it's incorrect to say that Rabbi Akiva said that the whiteness of the lime patuch, which is the mixed part, is dimmer, אלא של צמר דהה הימנה, which means the whiteness of the wool, you have this patuch, which is the mixed spot itself, is dimmer. So if that's the case, you see that Chaluk is follow Rabbi Akiva, and as the Gemara explained to us in the previous section, so you see here a source. So what the whole concept of the view, that it's basically the view of Rabbi Akiva. So up to this point, we understand, or to be correct, we assume that Baheret, when the Torah refers V'lase'et, V'lasapachet, Baheret is the whitest of the four shades. Now, the Gemara challenged that too. Umenalan de Baheret azahi. How do you know that the most intense, whitest is the Baheret? So here, Amar Abaye, so beautiful, sophisticated, he said, I have another source to prove it. And the source is Amarkra. The Torah said in the book of Vayikra, chapter 13, verse 4, Ve'im ba'eret levana hi. You know, we said it many times, that the Torah is very prudent and every single word or even letter carry a meaning. So because they add the word hi, ve'im ba'eret levana hi, which appear superfluous, hi levana ve'ein acheret levana, which means it is white and no other shade is as white. So here you see from that different source of Abaye that Baheret is the most one, is the most intense white of all. Now the Gemara bring a different, in a way, reverse braita that prove that these four appearance of Tzarat, their source of different ktuvim, of different sources in Negaim. Tanura Banan. Baheret Amuka, when it's come to the Tzarat, affliction of Baheret, appears in deep. Vechen hu omer, and the pasuk tells us, when it's come to the description, when the Kohen examine, umarhea amok mina or. So Rashi explained that the nega, the appearance of that, it's not really deep in the sense, if you are the dermatologist, right? So sometimes they need to have a special, how do you say, zchuchit magderet, is a special expansion and special way to see inside. They go and sometimes they expand to see it deeper. But here, no, it's only appearance. It appears that it goes deeper, but you see it. So the Gemara wants to bring some type of, I don't know if it's the right word, allegory or simile, but they said it's like you have a appearance of a sun, which is deeper than the shade around it. So Rashi explained to us beautifully on the pasuk in Vayikra chapter 13 verse 3. He said that many times we see things and we misconstrue it, or we use our fancy imagination for certain things that it's not correct or sometimes total out of order. He said that for example, when you have a shade of a person or it's come to getting dark, so any place that they have a light color, it brings this. You ask a expert painters or expert people who are familiar with that. I have a friend, Ive. So it's all kind of different excellent painting. One of the idea, if I remember, one time I was under the impression, that's the explanation, and I think that's the beauty of the way Rashi explained in Vayikra 13:3, that when you have a light color, it brings an appearance of depth around the entities, and give illusion of being lower than the darker area that's around it. Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, elaborates on the factor that many things can contribute to this illusion, and other factors which lessen the effect. So se'et, ein se'et ela gavoha. So se'et denote nothing other than raised. And the source that its height, v'chen hu omer, the prophet Yeshaya in chapter 2 verse 14 said, al kol heharim haramim ve'al kol hagvaot hanisaot. It's hard to translate that word, but let's go the way that there is the expression, ein sapachat ela tfeilah. Tfeilah meaning is the idea that it's secondary to the primary one. וכן הוא אומר, ואמר ספחני נא. They said in the book of Shmuel, the first one, chapter 2, pasuk 36, the Navi, some said according to the Ralbag, it was Elkanah, other Mefarshim, Ralbag later said also it may be Piנחas. Anyway, it was a Navi, that he came to Eli Kohen, who was a righteous man, but unfortunately, his descendants, because of misbehavior, he informed him, that Navi, that they're going to lose their high priesthood, which is the highest class, highest level, and they need to lower themselves to go before the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and beg and ask for some type of task, some job involved with the priesthood, and they will be in such a press for fund or such a level of indigence that they have no food. So because the pasuk use fachenina, just want to share with you for a second, not digressing but just reading the pasuk. The pasuk said, "V'haya kol hanotar beveitcha yavo leishtachavot lo la'agorat kesef v'kikar lachem." Whoever left in your house, meaning the descendants of Eli Kohen, they will come. Look at the Targum. They said, "Veihekol diishta'ar beveitach." Whoever left over in your house, yeitei le'ashtapalale, that go and mashpil, that denigrate himself, put himself down. Lim'ad chasaf upita de lachma, pat lechem, meaning that they are pressed for fun in such a level that they have no bread. Ve'amar, and they said, ve'yemar, sfacheni na el achat hakunot lechol pat lechem. Just manini ke'at lachad mimatrat kahana lemetar pitcha de lachma. So here the Ralbag and the Radak, Rabbi David Kimchi, and others said that it reached at such a level of poverty that they begged to be nispach, sfacheni, something like total secondary. So that's the idea, that tfeilah, it's secondary, subsidiary to the original one. So the Gemara asks, Ash kechan tfeilah lase'et. So we understand that sapachat in the Torah in Vayikra 13, the pasuk said se'et or sapachat or vaheret, and then it's written v'lasehet v'lasapachat v'la baheret. So what you see here? So you see that tfeilah lase'et. But how do you know tfeilah la baheret? How do you derive that baheret is the subsidiary to? Now, the truth is that question only follow the view of Chachamim, of the sages. Because if you examine the Tanaina Mishnah, the beginning of Tractate Negaim, they hold that Baheret has a subsidiary. Rabbi Akiva hold that, he said that, Rabbi Akiva hold that yesh tefela labaheret, that there is a subsidiary to baheret, subsidiary laseet, but not labaheret. So according to Rabbi Akiva, it's not a question. Even one is written after the other. Tosfot HaRosh hold that the way that logically, rationally you examine the pasuk, you have to say that it has to be logically, especially in the way you examine the Hebrew language, go by the previous context, previous content, previous word, and not the subsequent word. Anyway, Amar Rabbi Zera, so Rabbi Zera respond and said, Ne'emra levana base'et, v'ne'emra levana babaheret. So let's examine the pasuk. The pasuk said, Vayikra 13, pasuk 10, V'nes'et levana bahor, that it's written in a se'et, and the baheret, it's written, V'im baheret levana hi be'or besaro. So we derive from that a gzeira shava. The Meiri explained that it has to be this verbal juxtaposition between the two concepts of levana, and that clarified the concept. Ma levana ha'amura bas'et yesh la tfeila, af levana ha'amura babaheret yesh la tfeila. Said the same way as the word levana, meaning the whitened part, which is mentioned in the context of se'et, they have a subsidiary which is the egg, the white of the egg, as we explained, between the yellow and the shell, the white that covered the yellow, egg membranes, white. The same way, levana that is mentioned, levana, the white that is mentioned in the context of baheret, has a subsidiary, which is the lime white. You remember we talked earlier, that's the way they put the sanctuary every Erev Pesach in the sanctuary of Beit HaMikdash. So that's the Sid Halavan. And that's basically the subsidiary of Baheret. The source of this Braita that derived differently, במתניתת תנא, הטיל הכתוב לספחת בין שאת לבהרת. Which means the pasuk place the word sapachat between these two words. So now think logically and think in a way rationally. The pasuk said velaseet, let's read it clearly, velaseet, velasapachat, velabeharet. So in a way you see it some correlation, because the sapachat you read in several places, for example in Vayikra chapter 13 verse 2 or chapter 14 verse 56. Lomar lecha, it's basically want to teach us כשם שתפלה לשאת כך תפלה לבהרת. That the same way that there is subsidiary to the concept of se'et, the same way we have for beharet. So usually the subsidiary is like Tolada and Av. It's connected to the father, the primary above her, and that's se'et and not baheret. But because in the pasuk we precede the word se'et to the word baheret, Tosfot Yom Tov explain that it shows a level of gradation. It shows that it's less, which means that sapachat, that is written after the word se'et, applies also to the baheret. Otherwise, you said that the sapachat is subsidiary only to se'et, and if that's the case, the pasuk needs to put it in clear chronological order. Baheret, se'et, and then vesapachat. That's the beautiful Tosfot Yom Tov here. Those who read Hebrew and have time, please examine this Tosfot Yom Tov here. It's beautiful. Anyway, the Gemara continues with the explanation of the Mishnah in Tractate Negaim that we brought earlier in the, on page 5b. Se'et ketzemer lavan. The color of se'et is similar to the color of wool white. Mai tzemer lavan. What is the meant by wool white? Amar Rav Bivi, Amar Rav Asi, tzemer naki ben yomo. And that's we explain in the introduction. Here we talk about the clean white wool of day-old newborn lamb. So if you see, sometimes those years I used to watch this geography. So they show you how the mother lamb, she licks the baby at the first day, right? So the newborn lamb, one which is tied, a covering to protect it from a dirt for future use as material for woolen garment. And that's the idea. Tzemer naki ben yomo shemechabnim bo lemeilat. So they use it for fancy garments. You see it in Rashi in Tractate Shabbat, page 54. And the concept is that the mother is so overprotecting to her baby that's born, so she licks him, she clean him from any dirt, and his wool is never as clean as the first day that was lamb baby born. So that's the reason it's called kvina, mechabnim. You see it in Yechezkel, chapter 27, verse 18. So Rashi said that se'et is comparable to the whiteness of this wool. It's all a level of preservation, and it's basically keep it in it's a very expensive garment. So since Rabbi Hanina, in his wisdom, clarified the view of Rabbi Akiva in regards to these four different appearances and the way that they are combined by using some type of allegory, now he wants to, it's called in Hebrew lehamchish, to show us something that substantiates and give us more kind of real appearance of real understanding. Amar Rabbi Hanina mashal leRabbanan lema davar domeh. If I want to explain the view of the sages, what is this like? Litrei malchei velitrei iparchei. Imagine you have, in this country, okay, you have a president, and you have vice president, and you have a state governor, and you have a second governor, okay? Now, there are two different entities, right? Each of them carries a different weight. But here, you know what, I use a different term so it will be clearer. Imagine they have two kings. One king is above the other king, and you have under the king one governor and another governor. So let's say if King A is above King B, but King B is still a king. So in that sense, he is above the governor because governor goes by the governor. I think that's better than the US example. But the idea is one governor follow one king. So as much as that king is higher, but he's still not a king, he's a governor. So, מלכו של זה למעלה ממלכו של זה, ואי פרחו של זה, and the governor of this king, the other one, ואי פרחו של זה למעלה מפרחו של זה. So the governor of the first king is more prominent than the governor of the second king. So Rashi explained that that's the mashal v'nimshal, that's the explanations in our understanding of Chachamim when it's come to Seder Mar'ot, to understand the different categories when it's come to Negaim. Baheret and Se'et, as we explained in the introduction, imagine it's like kings, is primary, it's Avot, is the head. Baheret, it's above Se'et. You remember? We talked about it. Then we have the line of the sanctuary, Sida Echal, and we have the Krum Beitza, the whitening part of the egg. Okay? So that's like the governors. So you have this subsidiary that was not spelled out within the text, but Sida Echal, the line of the sanctuary, that it's the subsidiary of Baheret, it's above the Krum Beitza that is Tolada of Se'et. So in that sense, when we use this type of allegory, I think it makes it in a way simpler and clearer to see the difference between Avot and Toladot. So in that sense, you see here the connection. I think the Rashi here is so beautiful. Explain it beautifully. So the Gemara asks, when you bring this type of mashal, Hai ze lemala mize, veze lemala mize hu. But when you have this type of illustration, but you try to explain Rabbi Akiva's point of view, and we said that this idea of the four shades combined, and you have a different order of this intensity, you have this one above the other one, etc., and this one above this one. So he said that's basically based on the view of Rabbi Akiva, because if you follow Rabbi Akiva, it's all depend upon what? The level of what? Of the whiteness, the way that the level of ze lemala mize veze lemala mize, each of them has to be above the other. So the Gemara, in a way, fix this expression of the mashal, and they match it in the view of Chachamim. And they said, Ela malko shel ze, the first king is a mashal, right? Is the baheret lemala. It's in a way above me iparchei denafshei. He is above, he is governor, which is what? Sida Echal. Right? The one was lower and it's combined with him. Umalko shel ze, the second king, which is what? The Se'et, lemala meiparchei denafshei, is more prominent than his own governor. So Rashi explains that basically in that understanding, in that imagination of mashal v'nimshal, we understand that each governor go by his hierarchy, which is the king, the same way as any subsidiary, any tolada, go by its upper one. And that's basically the idea that we can combine, and that's beautifully the Gemara modified the statement of Rabbi Hanina. Now the Gemara brings another mashal, another analogy, according to the Chachamim, the sages. Rav Ada bar Abba Amar, Kegon Malka ve'al kafta rufila ve'reish galuta. So here again, they're using the Babylon example, but they use the name of the king, and then you have akafalta, al-kafta. Al-kafta, so in Tractate Zvachim, page 96b, Rashi explained that it's the high ruling official that is, in a way, you can say that is king, but it's lower than the king. And then you have Rufila, so in Bava Metzia, page 49b, you see the idea of Iparkus, that again is subordinate of a king. Ve'reish galuta. Reish galuta is the exiliar. Exiliar is the title of a person that served as a political leader in the time that the Jewish people live in Bavel, in Babylonia, and it was more than 1,000 years, according to our history. Jewish people who are descendants from the house of David have this high respected job, and they are in a way like kings, but he is in a hierarchy to the king. He basically under this al-kafta. So even with this example, the Gemara challenge says, Hai ze lemala mizehu. In your mashal, in your allegory, those entities, those governors, king, governor, etc., auxiliary, one about the top of the other. But that's can be befitting to Rabbi Akiva, but not befitting to Chachamim, to sages. So the Gemara again modified the explanation. Kegon malka verufila ve'al kafta ve'reish galuta. So that's basically matched, that each of them match the highest than him, Rashi explained. So the same is an imshal. Baheret is the first one. Follow her is the Sida Echad, lamb of the sanctuary. And then you have Se'et, and after that is the white part of the egg. Another example to this allegory of kings. Rava Amar Kegon Shavur Malka. You see it in several places in the Shas. The King Shavur. King Shavur was the Persian king, or Shapur, some called. He was from the Sassanid descendant, and he was the king of Persia and also Aram Naharaim. So they said the example of that is Shavur Malka veKaisar. The Caesar, the king of Persia, have a secondary. In the same, the Caesar, the Rome king, has his own Iparkus. So the one who is more important than the kings, we have the Nimshal, it's like the Baheret. And the second one is like Se'et. Rava here did not specify who is more than the others. Anyway, Amar le Rav Papa le Rava, Hey minayu adif. Tell me, which one is superior to the other? Who is more prominent? The Shapur or Shavur or the Caesar? Amar lei bechushaya ka'achilei. What? Is Rav Papa live in a different planet? In Mars? Is like he live in those forests that he doesn't know what's going on in the real world? Obviously, the Rome Caesar is the most important part. Now, the truth is, the way that Rashi said in Chagiga, page 5b, and Ta'ani 24b, obviously Rav Papa very familiar with that. It's because Rava put first Shapur, the king of Persia, before the Roman Caesar. That's the reason that Rava put Shapur first. because he was afraid that if he belittled his honor, he will be punished, which, according to sages, happened. Puk chazei tiv'a deman sagei be'alma. Look and see in the real world who has the greatest authority in the world. So Ben Yehoyada explained, go by example by the chain of commerce, how people make business, which one is the more, the higher. Dichtiv, this is a pasuk in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 23, and you know that in Daniel it's mainly Aramaic, and the pasuk said, "Vete'achul kol ar'a utedushina vetadkina." If shall devour the whole earth and treat upon and break it into pieces. So the prophecy of Daniel is basically described which call in the Greek methodology the pleroma, meaning the entities around the world. And the fourth one, the Chaya Revi'it, it's the one that is the worst, the one who can destroy the whole world, and eventually it will disappear from the world. And the Nimshal, obviously the meaning of that allegory is the fourth kingdom, which is the wicked Rome, according to Rabbi Yochanan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Zo Romi Chayevet, that applies to the authority of Rome, that they are wicked. Shetiv'a yatsa bechol haolam kulo. That everyone knows how wicked they are, and obviously you derive from that the Caesar of Rome is higher than the king of Persia, Shapur. You see more on that beginning of Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 2b. So in a sense, the Rome Caesar and the Hipparchus is the same mashal of Baheret and is subordinate, and Shavor, the king of Persian, is the mashal of Se'et and it's subordinate. The last mashal in the list of these meshalim is Ravina. Ravina amar kegon glima de amar ve-shachakei. So he said that that's like the way that you take the view of the rabbis is like the same way as a new white woolen garment and a worn out woolen garment. Sdina dechitsta dechinta v'shachakei. A new white linen garment and a worn out linen garment. So obviously when you take something that is a fresh brand new, so it's much more bohak, it's much more sharp, clear, obvious, expressive than the one that's worn out. So, but it's close in their level of whiteness to each other. So that's apparently matched the view of Chachamim, of the sages, when it's come to for appearance, because the Baheret have two-level distance from the subordinary of Sida Echal, the lime of the sanctuary, the same way as the Se'et from the subordinary, which is the egg, the Kruma Beitzah, and it's in a way you can try to portray it toward the brand new garment, brand new clothing versus worn out. So Baheret and Se'et are the avot, are the primary, and they distance from each other only darga achat, only one level. And it's in a way a small difference between a woolen garment that is brand new versus one woolen garment that it's used. That's the way Rashi explained to us. Again, those who understand Hebrew and have the time, there is a book called Torat Chaim, and he expand in each of these beautiful meshalim much brighter and much greater. Maybe one day we'll do that in Hashem as well.